Did you ever hear about crawl budgets? It's not so much a question of Google's capacity, but it's a question of your capacity and how you manage crawling on your site. Google wants to crawl your website as fast as it can without overwhelming it. So if your web server responds slowly, it will slow down crawling. And if your web server responds really fast, it will increase crawling. It will do this by how many parallel requests it makes and the delay between the requests. So how do you get more crawl budget? There's only 4 parameters you can look at: popularity, user value, uniqueness, and server capacity. Google state that you can only influence the value and the capacity. But that's not entirely true. Links from other websites to your page also have an influence. But one thing that all websites should do is to manage your crawling. So you're not wasting crawl capacity on things that won't get indexed or shouldn't get indexed at all. First of all, you have to make sure that you don't have duplicate content. So essentially that you can access the same content with different URLs. If you have duplicate content, if the same page can be accessed with multiple URLs, Google will have to request it multiple times. Later on, they will most likely discover that they are duplicated and only index one of them. And then you wasted that part of your crawl budget. You should also manage your robots.txt file. This is a typical web shop. And you have some categories, and I've chosen a boots category. And the URL for that is on Shopify. So it's collections/boots-women. Now you can, like you can on most of these web shops, sort the results. So here it's as default sorted by featured, but you can also sort it by best selling, for example, or alphabetically. And when you do that, please note up here in the URL that a parameter is added. So question mark sort by equal title ascending. You can also add filters. So let's say that you only want to see boots that cost less than 200 euro. And now another filter is added up here. But no matter how we filter or sort this page, it's essentially the same page. It's the same category front page with the same selection of product, just, shuffled around a little bit different. So there's no reason for Google to index all these variations. And they don't. They will only index one of them. However, Google have to crawl all these variations to see that. So you're wasting your crawl budget. Instead, it's much better to set up the robots.txt to disallow crawling of these variations. You can see down here that there is a disallow rule for collections and filters. And we also have the sort parameter. We also have that disallowed in the robots.txt file. If you are removing pages from your website, the server should return a 404, not found. If it's not returning a proper 404 header, Google may come back again and again to re-request that page. And that is also a waste of crawler budget. You can also have what is called soft 404. But what is that? I mean, if the page doesn't exist, the server should return a 404 header. But a soft 404 is a page that to Google looks like a dead page, but actually don't return any 404 header. That could, for example, be a product category where there's no products and you write out no products found here. Google read that and they interpret it as an empty page, a page with no content, and that will return a soft 404. Also, if you are using sitemap, then you need to make sure that it's up to date. You should also avoid redirect change. So redirects can be okay. Let's say you remove a page and there's an alternative page. You set up a redirect to that new page. That's fine. But then later, if you remove that page and set up a new page, remove that page and set up a new page, and you keep setting up redirects, that is one way that you can end up with redirect chains. So you go from that original page to another that doesn't exist, to another that doesn't exist, to another that doesn't exist. That is also a waste of your crawl budget because Google have to request all those individual URLs. I also highly recommend that you monitor crawling in Search Console. Here I selected one of my sites, the MIP.dk, and if you scroll down, there's something called Settings. And under Settings, you can see crawl stats. And that's a very important report. We can also here see the response codes. And you want to look for 404 pages. And maybe some of these pages would be better off being redirected to a better alternative. And here you can also see if Google identified any soft 404s. You should also check under security in Search Console. This is what it should state. No issues detected. Some hackers use or abuse your website to put up a lot of pages. Viagra pages, casino pages, stuff like that is very typical. And then suddenly you could have like hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of pages on your website that you don't know about. And then Google have to crawl all those pages. And that, of course, is a waste of your crawl budget because you don't want those pages indexed. That's all for now. If you follow these simple recommendations, you should be fine.